Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another dream today. Hello, guys. It's a spooky mood today. It's a spooky Friday. My goodness. We just finished up with Zato, I Love the World and Everything in It. And it was really good. I'm not going to really dive too deep into that, but if you want to go watch it on the VODs channel, I highly recommend that you go do that. But it was really good, and I wanted to continue with the kind of mystery, spooky, psychological thriller kind of mood. So I found this game called Tiny Bunny that, let's see, hold on. I'm so bad at having this prepared. I should have the store page up so that I know. Let's see. Came out in 2020, March 2020. It's been out for a while. It is by a developer and publisher by the name of Psychono. Looks like, have they done anything else? They did another game called, oh, they have another game called Less So More coming out soon. It looks kind of sexual. No, it's a match 3 visual novel adventure. That might be interesting to play. But they have a lot of Tiny Bunny content, including Tiny Bunny Prologue, which is what we are playing today. We are playing the Prologue version, which I do believe is free on Steam. So if you want to check it out, you can. Let's jump into the game itself. So we don't have too much other content. It is a non-linear horror visual novel. Those who have heard the voice of the forest are beyond help. So it is a indie horror visual novel with adventure and 2D graphics according to the Steam page. That's pretty much all the information that I have on it. It looks amazing. The screenshots look amazing. The art looks really good. So I'm very excited to see that. I'm always looking for new art to fawn over. So I think it'll be very interesting. It opened up in this, I don't know what language this is, but it opened up with this. Is it Czech? I don't know what the C could be. I have no idea. I have no idea what language this is, but it opened up in that and it confused me for a while, and then I had to look up how to change it to English. So we are gonna play Tiny Bunny. Like I said, very cute. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm talking about. Hold on. This language. I don't know what this language is. Did it change? It doesn't show that it changed on my OBS. Weird. Yeah, I'll put it back. This way? Oh, it like turns it into a different, oh, interesting. It turns it into a different program file, so my stream doesn't catch it because it's stuck to the English version. That's interesting. That was weird. Okay, either way, that's not important. We're gonna jump into Tiny Bunny. I won't delay any longer. Let's just go through the settings real quick that I can see them in English now. Music, we'll turn the music down a little bit. Turn it like here. We'll turn the sounds about the same, and they'll keep the voice high. Turn that down. Skip red text. Full screen, that's fine. Okay. I was looking for like if there were streamer settings or something, or graphic settings, or like not graphic settings, but like graphic content settings. This is an interesting transparent box we have at the bottom down here. Oh, that was nice the way it loaded in. That was really nice. I liked how this was its own thing for a minute. They have a little tone when you pass over them. That's really cute. Okay. The window clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. Is it loading? Hold on. Is it not working? Why is it not working? Oh, hold on. There it goes. Now it goes. Okay, what the heck? OBS, what is happening? If I go back, are you gonna be an issue? Yes, you are. What the heck? Is it because it's full screen? Oh, shit. Okay, what if I make it windowed? Does it make it smaller? Does it still have the same problem? It does not. Okay, but it is smaller, so I have to resize it. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm figuring this out. I can do this. Go. There we go. Something like that. Something like that. Go. Okay, lock. There we go. Okay. Are you gonna work now? Okay, good. Now we need to go back in the history. Hold on. Go back. Here we go. Okay, backlog. The wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, and sneery, twined in the air. They were shouting and laughing and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own, the creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with its inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes, rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. I love the prose so far. The descriptiveness of it is very good. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. I don't like this still. Ooh. I wonder if it's gonna be all in grayscale. Okay. So this is us. This is the little sister. This is mom. Mom looks very young. But, interesting. I like the grayscale of it. I'm assuming this is supposed to be Frost. Because we saw something similar in Zato, I Love the World and Everything in It. I don't know what Frost on windows look like. I've only seen that maybe like a few times in my life. And not for most of it. So definitely don't remember that being looking like that. But yeah, don't really live in a snowy place. Anyways. Hey, put away your book. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look at how slouched you are. Hide the book. Oh, interesting. I didn't protest and put the book about Conan the Barbarian aside. I wonder if we could have not. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olya had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. Crazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the longer the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Costell Odyssey. I love that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is. It's very horrifying. Goodness, I don't want to think about it. Or how cold the black forest is at night. I also don't want to think about that. The spoon fell on my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. Her green eyes. Her clearly green eyes, guys. Can't you see she has green eyes? They're so green. They're like the color of the forest. They're the color of the wallpaper I wish I had. So green. Ooh. I took a big bite of sushi. It's so crunchy. It's got crunchy bits in it. What did I just say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this, carved on the other side of the table? Hafna. Oh, Karina. Huh, that's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointing when she was little. She sure was a rascal, damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been a bit of a bad mood lately. Imagine her being my age, sitting under this table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Sounds coming from the attic? You didn't mention that! Imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed where Olya sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice. Taiga is a special place, little girl. It's a— oh, as a grandma voice. We knew grandma voice. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out. Trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Damn. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket, and she called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all the photos were gone. Glass-covered pictures with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Olya was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly woodland critter. I turned my gaze towards the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass. Okay, that is frost. That's what I thought. That looks like a raccoon or a fox or something. Oh, fox. Definitely a fox. Sorry, did not... Okay, I saw the dark eyes at first, so I was like, oh, raccoon. But looking at, like, the whole picture, definitely a fox. They even say, oh, yeah, look, it's a fox. Weird. It looked almost like those optical illusion thingies they put on the back of student notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle, not outside, on the window. Look, here's the nose and here's... Hey, eat up! Yes, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up, there's not much left. Ah, there it is. Ah, there it is. But it still doesn't look like one. And I'm telling you it does. Nuh-uh. It does. Stop it. These kids, I swear. Now I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Wow. Really is gone. Only the frosty pattern, similar to stretched out nettle leaves, kept creeping up the glass. My dad entered the kitchen with long measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. Mom would always ask jokingly, come on, shave it off, it stings. This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Olya always covers her ears when she hears something like, what's the point in all this? Through the wall. It's all for your sake, Dad would reply, for the sake of our family. I always had a sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. Divorce. I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families. That is scary. I feel like this is coming from a American kid who grew up in a divorced family where they were not amicable with each other for a very long time, and then now in my adulthood they're more amicable with each other, which is weird. But I feel like parents who don't make a decision on what they're going to do, the ones who drag it out and are like, you know, we're gonna do this for our family, we're doing this for, you know, all these reasons that aren't personal to us, all these reasons to stay, all these like all of that, without facing the actual meat and potatoes of it, which is you need to separate because you're two different people now. You've grown apart and you don't really need to be together anymore, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you can't still be amicable, but that means that you need to, you know, stop pretending that everything is going to be okay if you just stick it out and work it through together. And sometimes that works for some families. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but I'm saying 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work when you try to stick it through for the kids, or stick it through for the family, or stick it through for the reputation, or whatever it is, right? It just makes you unhappy, and you being unhappy with your spouse makes your kids feel uncertain. It makes them feel like they're not growing up in a loving home. No matter how loving you may be, the toxicity that you have towards somebody else, your kids pick up on that, and they know that that's not love, and they know the difference at that point, especially if they can remember a time where you were good to each other. And I feel like that uncertainty of not talking about divorce and what it means and how they won't be separated or how they will be separated, you know, the expectation, the lack of expectation that's not being set, I feel like that's a huge part of the problem, because if the kids had more expectation about what was going to happen, then they wouldn't be so afraid of it all the time. And I feel like that's a thread of fear that we're getting from Anton, this kid, this 12-year-old, because he's also afraid of the forest. He's also afraid of the dark. He's afraid of things that he's uncertain about. And that's a very valid and normal fear. I don't want to say that it's not. I feel like parents often, when they're in situations where they're dealing with a lot of like emotions and personal problems, they forget what that does to their kids. They forget what that does to the people around them. They forget that type of trouble in your soul, in your heart, in your personality, in your mind is noticeable. And kids pick up on a lot more than you think they would. And again, it's that uncertainty, I think, is a lot of the big problem. Of course, they don't want their parents to be divorced, but if they knew that they weren't going to be separated, or they would only see each other on like weekends, or they would, you know, like whatever the situation may be, that would be horrible to separate kids like that. I don't know anybody that would do that. Typically in divorced families in America, the kids visit one parent to the other parent in a period of like days, or for a period of months in a certain part of the year, usually based on schedule and fairness for what is good for the children, usually. But anyways, I'm not here to talk about all that legal crap. I was just trying to give a little bit of insight into like Anton and his like concerns and his obvious fears of the uncertain and the unknown, which I think is going to be a huge factor into this visual novel. But let's find out. Let's jump into it and find out. Anyway, your box is nothing. I have an owl on my window. You and your owl talk again. You said you believed me just yesterday. Has anyone seen my car keys? I remember leaving them on the windowsill. Right. Maybe you did, and maybe not. You're a grown man, a father of two, and still, goodness, that's not needed. Not in front of the kids. Karina, please stop. Just let me get ready in peace. That's fair. I feel like she's being... Your keys are in the basket near the phone, and you knew where they were the whole time. You're a bitch. Well, thank you very much. Anton, stop making a martyr out of yourself and finish eating already. And the owl. There was no owl. But there was one. It had giant glowing eyes. Olya sprung from her chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers the size of an apple each. Last year you had bye-bye in your closet, and last year you had bye-bye in your closet, and now this owl. What's a bye-bye? Can I click on that? I can't. Okay. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Hold on. I gotta look. What is a bye-bye? A boogeyman. Interesting. But I saw it. Olya shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending him? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice? Don't bully her, girl. She's afraid to sleep alone because she's still little. Olya pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he just found. A minute had passed and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was an incredibly worn-out cassette tape, which Dad had already glued once together. It was so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. But how do you fix a relationship? It's not that easy. It's not that easy. There's a lot of talk. The glue is communication. Clear, empathetic communication. That is the glue that fixes relationships. Okay. I say that communication is the glue that fixes relationships, but here's the thing. Sometimes fixing a relationship means that you can't fix it and moving on from that. Sometimes that's fixing the relationship, realizing that you need to be apart. That's just the case sometimes. They might do well with some time apart from each other. Because clearly they want different things. Clearly she wants somebody who can pay attention and not lose his stuff. Or be so helpless, I suppose, is what she's thinking. Somebody that she doesn't have to pick up after. Sounds like she needs a break. Mom moved to the living room and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. This was on the store page. Olya had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped take her mind off the troubles we had and the move with our parents. Oh god. And then Olya said she saw that giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with him. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Olya refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After tonight, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words or what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? Yes. Yes, they can. Just last night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and then ended up thinking of what to expect in my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and their pairs of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if something completely different creatures were looking at me from behind the flat black silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with icy sneers, made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down? Stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wish for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who were just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider, or some kind of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olya begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings. They promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cool voice, "You've got the wrong number." Or, "Anton is not around. Anton is not around." I imagine my future classmates lying in their beds just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with such thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with the TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Our current house, though I wouldn't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in their corners, on the closet cobwebs and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my diseased family with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking, rusty drains were moaning, the attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some kind of demonic melody. And then I realized I was, in fact, hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. Flute? Oh, that's not good. It was mixed with the sound of the wind, of the creaking old house, and my thoughts too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than the product of my imagination. It was not like somebody's playing it there amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Can we do anything else? Cannot do anything else. Oh, I don't like this. Okay, open the window, I guess. Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out, with the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at a time, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Witches! Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly the music had stopped. Uh-oh. The dancing shadows froze in place and, I could swear, pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. Oh god! It glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch-black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like a bird inside a cage. Close the window! I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back towards the bed. They saw me. Yeah, they did. You're fucked. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guests move and scrape around looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into bed and covered myself with the blanket as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. Oh my god, this is the worst night terror. I remember the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features shaped like that of a tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's caskets. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was changing the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure. That's so, like, macabre. And now, lying under the blanket and listening to squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words. On the island of Bouillon, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of colored blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair, the spawn from Devil's Lair, to feast and always leave alone, God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil, leave this house must. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hangman. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. Sounds scratched in my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at the wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently as if he was looking for someone. They're hearing it too! Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, and drilled the door with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of darkness. And then... the doorknob twitched slightly. I don't like this. And then it turned halfway, once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted it once more, and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door creaked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now, you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness writhed inside the cavernous mouth of a doorway. Carnivorous mouth of a doorway. Tony. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and speaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. Tony. My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, Tony, you asleep? My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. Olya, I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Olya frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry. There it is again. It's staring at me. Show her away, Tony, please. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olya down. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's gonna harm you. Olya sobbed. I like that he's saying that even though he literally like 2 seconds ago was afraid that she was something out from outside coming to get him. I love that he's like, it's fine, you're safe, and he doesn't even really believe that. I think that's really interesting. I'm gonna take another bite of sushi, hold on. She was trying her best to believe me. Was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video. Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? That question took me by surprise. Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? It studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon. The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair. Tony, you coming? Yes, just a moment. That scared the shit out of me. Oh my god. What the heck? Are we dead? Are we dead? Oh. What? Non-linear. My heart's pounding. That was so scary. Oh my god. I saw the eyes and I was like, wait, what is that? And then it jumped out at me and I eeped. That was so scary. And then I was like, okay, it's a werewolf. I was like, okay, it's a werewolf. That's fine. I was thinking it was like a witch. Werewolf makes more sense. They were talking about wolves dancing in the under the moon. The werewolves definitely made more sense. I was thinking witches. They gonna cast spells on you. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olya and her owl in the morning. Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guests could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet, under the table, behind the curtains where Olya always hides. Tony, come here. I felt like the kettlebells were tied to my feet but still dragged them towards the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars, worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello? The senior officer, who wore a grim expression, nodded. Boy has gone missing yesterday. His name is Vova. Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held out a photograph to me. Never seen him before. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile. No, I haven't. Are you sure? Look closely. Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house. Well, maybe you've seen him from the window. That's right, your windows look straight at the forest, don't they? The window? No, I haven't seen anything. I see. He sounded tired, but his stare, long and heavy, was full of suspicion. Why about a 12-year-old boy? Why does the 12-year-old have to know where the guy is, where this kid is? Why is it the 12-year-old's responsibility? He just moved here. Is it because he's an outsider? I don't like this. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt, which his giant shadow casted over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cracks in the ceiling, which I hadn't noticed before for some reason. How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Bit by bit. It's just our little daughter misses the city a lot. Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well? Yes, everything is alright, thank you. The policeman pierced through me one more time with his gray eyes. My head started spinning. Can I help you somehow? I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner. Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age, wears the same type of goggles, haha. Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels. Told me he wants to enroll in police school when his family visited this summer. Wanted to help other people, just like me, see? I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me. You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home, steer away from trouble. The times have changed so much. Mom interjected in a cold voice. You don't say. Ah, well then. What grade are you in, Tony boy? 6th. Have you made any friends here so far? Not yet. I'll be going to school for the first time after the break. Then I'll leave you my number, just in case. Call me if you have any new info. The policemen were gone along with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne and the photo of a smiling boy. His face still stood before my eyes. I wondered what it was like for him, being all alone, there. For some reason, I thought of the forest swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? And what would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and forget about me eventually? Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it, poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off towards the village. It's underlined and I don't know why it's underlined. Oh, it's added to the glossary. Okay. In Slavic folklore, a nocturnal spirit used by parents to threaten their ill-behaving children. UAZ, a Soviet and Russian off-road freight passenger car brand, which was produced on the, oh, I'm gonna mispronounce this, Olya car factory. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splitting off old paint off from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I've read this summer. It's Black Kitty. A series of contemporary Russian original or translated teen mystery books. Interesting. Is mystery really popular? Garbage boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people. And after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed the trail policeman's footprints that led to the forest. And then it clicked in my head. Why didn't I start an investigation on my own? Oh, that's a bad idea. Maybe I'll find that lost boy. And I'll get a reward. Olya will be so happy. Not only Olya, mom and dad too. This is very 12-year-old logic. I'll fix the problem. I'm not at risk. It's not gonna happen to me. Let me take another bite of sushi. Hold on. And not only Olya, mom and dad too. This hurts my heart. Cause he's like, oh, he's got that kid logic of, if I do something that's really good, my parents will be so proud of me, they'll stop arguing with each other and we'll go back to being a happy family. That's very kid logic. Yeah, see? Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. I fantasized about buying Olya a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. My dad had lost his job at the time. There's that annoying song about it. Annoying song. Accountant. A song by an all-female Soviet pop band by the name of, I'm gonna mispronounce this, Kombinatia. Combination. It was wildly popular in the early 90s. Interesting, we'll have to listen to him. I had little to no idea what the accountant's job was like. They count money, I think. Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, mom and dad barely had money to afford sweets, and dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olya. Sometimes I gave her my share, too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out, looking for clues. I'm going outside. Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photograph next? The forest is so thick. What if a boy got snatched up by wild animals or something even worse? Even worse, I go through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said, or should I repeat myself? Better go back, pack your school bag, or play with Olya. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. That meant the argument was over and mom had the last word. Ooh. Okay, we need to save. Oh. How many slots do we have? Okay, we have quite a few slots. We have 40 slots. Okay. So we could go to the front yard. We could go out anyways, which you kind of want to do. We could go to the kitchen. We can go bug mom. Or we could open this door and go play with Olya, I guess. Let's open this door. I'm curious what this is. A dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how would she know their smell? She hates it when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on the freshly sharpened axe. But Olya can't even be lured close to it. She thinks Babai is living there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door and turned on a dim lamp so she would see there was nothing but cobwebs, Dad's tools, and scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. And I liked to hide in the closet and listen to Olya count outside. 1, 2, 3, better hide from me. And then drag her feet in the creaking floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. Why do all the nursery rhymes and shit that kids say, why is it all so goddamn creepy? Oh, let's go to the kitchen. Open the fridge. Did I get anything? Open the freezer. Grandma kept ice cream for me and Olya there, but now I only see meat bits for soup and clumped together pelmeni. I grew to hate them already. What's pelmeni? Pelmeni? A Russian variety of dumplings made by boiling thin, unleavened dough filled with mincemeat. One may even call it Russian fast food. Oh, interesting. Sounds tasty. I like pocket food. I almost went back to go back. That's funny. I was not paying attention. Mom? It's difficult to lie to Mom, but there's no other way for me to run. There's no other way for me to run away from home. Mom, something's wrong with the TV. The picture's dim and there are stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. Hi, you're killing me here. So, have you had enough of shooting those stupid ducks now? Told you the kinescope will go dim because of your console. Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Maybe it's just the settings? Please, go see for yourself. Strange, it worked just fine in the morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it? Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Olya's room. To the front yard. Go! Be free! I opened the front gate and went into the field. Carefully so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half the distance towards the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there. Distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me. And a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent, I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olya. Time reached its limit. A one-way trip that ended at the forest's tiny stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Very true. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olya would turn to stone listening to them. Then always came the ringing silence. Our apartment became numb a couple days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together. Almost as if it was all like a previous life. When they kissed with Olya present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if a fire broke up and our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people with dead, cold eyes who sometimes visited us in our previous home? The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything? And somewhere far away, a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions and looking around. He's got big glasses. Look at those glasses. My goodness. There were only me, this white field, and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. This is what I imagined Gop Gop looked like as a kid. All grayscale with big glasses. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. I looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and coniferous needles froze into the ice. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. The glove. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and then when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. What's The Streets of Broken Lights? I like to have a glossary. A Russian mystery TV series telling the story of the daily life of Russian police officers. It's the longest running TV series in the history of Russian TV at the moment. Wow. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Bova! I heard a distant shout. Looks like it came from the river. Bova! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Bova! Resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there behind the trees, hiding. Bova! I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. Oh, I missed it. What did I say? Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally towards the ground. Its blackness. There was no one there, just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow slipped from the tree and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. See, one of the things that I liked about Zato was that we had an unreliable narrator, and it was very non-linear as well. And what I like about this is that we also have an unreliable narrator with us having a child as our narrator. So he's seeing things that are a product of his imagination, and he can't really control that because he's a kid. You know what I mean? I think it's very interesting. I love the unreliable narrator trope. My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, and I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. Take or run away? We're gonna take it. I decided to take the lonely mitten from the branch. Bova! A shout rumbled across the field and dissolved into the distance. No echo, no hope for a reply. I stepped towards the bristly trees and tried to claim my find. It didn't budge. I pulled harder, the branch cracked and the mitten tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound. All too heavy, wet. I squeezed it without thinking and something dark spilled from it, forming a tiny string between the mitten and the snow. Steam rose from the snow pile. Oh, it's Anne! Oh my god. I froze in place, studying my palms in disgust. Red. Sound of cracking branches invaded the silence. I didn't have to think twice before running away. Someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was more than one voice. There was one more voice, probably one of reason. It gave me strength, spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. I went so loud my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come from a hungry pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in their nostrils sucked in freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing, a hoot, a wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush, from twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became viscous like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my legs from the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one, even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my leg was gone, my boots slipped out of the hole and my soles were on hard surface again. I cleared I reached a clear path with one jump, and from there ran to my house. The gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. That house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I didn't notice these marks when I was leaving. My heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in our front yard and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled the doorknob and it immediately gave way. Close the door. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breath reached into the house and crashed at me in waves. It smelled of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out of the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you never slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone, and the breath was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, a mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring, and with it the last bit of strength I had left in my body, too. My legs gave way. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked at the same as before all those quarrels. She finally saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you too? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel, her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me. I thought... I stuttered as soon as I started explaining myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned towards me and sniffed my clothes like a beast, searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant. She covered her mouth with her hand. Look, over there, at the fence! My heart started thumping as if I became prey once again and my pursuers were following me in the field. I could swear that I heard something scratching at the door, just like in my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window, facing my fear. Dogs. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in snow through the icy winter patterns on the glass. Dogs. Just a small pack of strays with no name and owner, barely reminding of the hungry monsters that live on the edge of the forest. Oh wait, were you scared of them? I think they'd be scared of you, Anton. They were chasing me like a bunny. And what if they're rabid? The smile had slowly disappeared from Mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was her first time seeing them. What if they attack Olya? Mom? I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Mom, look, they're alive. Huh? Wait. Are you friend or foe after all? Make up your mind. You're not a little kid anymore. Mom sighed in annoyance. Felt so better, and I felt so better that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb-ridden corner. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid stray dogs. And what for? What use do I have for this? Mitten. Of course! A dark and sticky mitten that belonged to the lost boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching it the whole time. That's my trump card as a detective. I hurried to present this clue to my mom. Mom, look, this is Vova's mitten. That boy the police were asking about in the morning. It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging on a tree. I can show where. Let's call the police right away, like the officer told us to. Mom, look. Ew. A shadow of doubt slowly crept onto Mom's contorted face, as if she was trying to remember something distant, like someone tries to remember their dream, but the image slips away. Stop at this moment. Olya will go insane if she hears you. She already has trouble sleeping and whines all the time. And you joke around like this. At the moment, I realized the mitten was actually wet from snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Sounds like he's having reality breaks, which is a problem. That's a major problem. Come here, my boy who cried wolf. Oh, don't just stand there. Come take your pills. Pills. A golden colored pill reminiscent of a dead wasp fell onto my palm. I already took one during breakfast. Don't talk over me. I already told you to stay home, and Dad would have given you a good whipping for that. Come on, take it, or you won't be able to sleep at night, and you have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medication, drinking it down with similarly awful water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Vova's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten after all. Just like the forest monster. And Olya's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect or my exerted brain didn't let fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing yawny indifference along with it. Anton, you done? See, you can do it when you try. I don't like this. I don't like that she's drugging him. Take off your coat. Are you asleep? No, Mom. I was just thinking. About what, I wonder? It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son and not some doppelganger that came from the forest. Is everything all right? You had the exact same expression when the policeman asked you about the window. I'm all right, Mom. She heaved a deep sigh. Fine. It seemed like the whole house had changed. Sober's fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. A melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Olya was done rewatching her favorite Little Mermaid episodes and switched to the other tapes. I slowly changed into my home clothes, stopping before the sink and studying my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot the difference puzzles. Then I went upstairs. Jafar and Iago's voices died down. I walked past Olya's bedroom and slipped into my own. Open? One of the doors was empty. I hid the mitten there. Where are you, Vova? This simple action drained the last bit of strength from me. I sat on the bed. And only then I noticed there was someone behind the curtains. My hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to contort as if the wind was blowing out the walls like a pair of sails. The room's corners bent and undulated. The only stable thing in the whole room was the figure behind the windowsill on the curtains. It's Olya. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor, just like a savant of sorts. Olya? Who else would be standing there? I stood and licked my dried lips. Yeah, Olya, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached toward the curtains. Beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the field with a chorus of voices. For a second I wanted to return to bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They were looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled against the holder when I pulled up the curtains. Gotcha! It was Olya. I knew it was Eve from the beginning. A blindingly bright halo lit above Olya's head with the setting sun as the background. My sister was shining. When she was just a baby, Dad used to say she was always shining with happiness. I always reported, but Dad, she's not some flashlight. But I brought her to the window one day and sunlight poured on her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a child woven from light. I saw everything. Oh, really? What did you hide? She was just like Mom when she was little, before she put on her sad mask of tiredness and switched to her commanding tone of voice. It's nothing, just... Olya ran up to the table, her eyes round, and asked, You stole something and hid it there? Are you a thief? What? Don't be stupid. I didn't steal anything. A clear image came to mind, that mitten hanging from a tree branch. What if I did steal it after all? From the forest, from the tilted figure standing behind black trees. Olya could be selfish and stubborn when she wanted. Then show me. Swear that you won't tell anyone, then I'll show you. Olya wore a plotting smile. I swear on Mom's heart. An oath she had heard one of the movies about the pioneers we watched. Pioneers? An umbrella term for the communist children organizations existing around the world, somewhat reminiscent of the Scout movement. Oh, okay. Weird. I don't know if I've ever heard of that. Don't say things like that. Olya nodded and made a gesture with her hand, locking her mouth with the imaginary key. She spilled curiosity that was splashing in her giant eyes. I opened the drawer and Olya leaned in, holding her breath. It looked like it was not just a simple mitten, but some sort of exotic critter. Is this someone's mitten? She said it as if she couldn't understand what she saw. A certain boy lost it and got lost himself. Now you understand how dangerous it is for kids to wander into the forest, right? He must really be cold out there. Will they find him? They will. The police are going house to house, showing his photo to everybody. Olya traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window. And why are they going to houses and not the forest? Are they scared? The question caught me off guard. The police aren't scared of anything. Yeah, right, flashed my clouded mind. Did they really check every nook and cranny where darkness, cold, and whispers of icy branches dwell? If that's the case, how did they miss the mitten? Or did it appear later? For me? I changed the topic, as if trying to get Olya as far away as possible from the forest thicket. We may get a reward if I go and find this boy myself. We're gonna come back to this mitten and it's not gonna be there anymore. And either Olya is going to have taken it or it will have never existed in the first place. This is gonna be some weird trippy shit. A lot of stuff, like in Field of Wonders. What's Field of Wonders? A Soviet and Russian TV game show still running to this day, coming out every Friday. Can be described as partially adapted version of Wheel of Fortune. Oh, okay. Sounds cool, right? Olya wasn't listening to me. She's piercing the forest with incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her. What if the owl got him? Nonsense, an owl wouldn't be able to lift a human. But you know what? I was picking my words with utmost care. I forced them out of my overexerted brain. Stay away from the forest. I think it's, how should I put it? It's cursed or something. Just like in a fairy tale? No, not like that. More like in that spooky tape Mom and Dad are hiding from us. Olya shivered and stole a glance at the window. I saw you running away. Something was chasing you? No, it's just, I was hurrying back home so Mom wouldn't be worried. I looked at my sister. My heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile, so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind and her small fire would be gone. You're lucky. Mom wouldn't even let me go outside. I'm like a princess in the tower. I can't go anywhere. I'll die from boredom here. You're wrong. No one has ever died of boredom. That's not true. You have me and your cartoons, and Mom and Dad will be good to each other soon. You know what I would wish for on my next birthday? I'd wish for Mom and Dad to turn into children so we could go and play together like we used to. Yeah, and if you make them as small as bugs, we could place them in a little box. Olya giggled and tugged at my sleeve. Tony, let's go watch Aladdin. Fatigue won over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous apathy. I'm too tired. I don't want to. Come on. It's so boring alone, and Mom is always busy. We can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before. I know all of our tapes by heart at this point. Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan. Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it? And so much happens after that. Let's go, let's go. Maybe a bit later. Should I tell you how it ends? Let's leave that for tomorrow. I won't tell you tomorrow. I know, let's play hide and seek. No, Olya. Then draw me as I know. Olya, please. Draw it, draw it. Will you leave me alone already? I blurted it out without thinking, and then I was immediately taken aback. I'd never screamed at my little sister like that. Olya stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? You're being modeled how to handle problems when somebody keeps nagging at you. You're handling it the way that your parents handle it, which is yelling at each other. And even though that's not what you want to do, that's what's being modeled for you to do. So your brain is taking it as a option. So you're being modeled a behavior, child. I hurried to prevent Olya from crying. All right, you win. Let's go watch cartoons for a bit. I don't wanna. I came up to her. I put my hand on her soft head. Let's go. Let's go watch Peter Pan. Boo, you'll fall asleep again. I smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless. I promise I won't. And I'll draw you a full triceratops later. Hooray! Triceratops. Well, close enough. Olya rubbed her eyes with the sleeve of her pajamas and a shining smile returned to her face. I'll go ask Mom for condensed milk and bread and you rewind the tape. The bread is fresh, just like how you like it. Alright, just be careful not to spill the milk, or you'll be yelled at again. Wanna bet I won't spill it? The tape is somewhere in the nightstand, look for it. Olya disappeared into the doorway. I dragged my feet into the neighboring room. This bear has voice. Olya has countless toys. An old teddy bear is the main attraction here. Olya doesn't sleep without it, and she digs her nose into its fur when she sleeps. A piggy bank. Olya is saving money for a real puppy because Dad said that taking care of him will be a lot of money. Turn on the TV. The old photon TV was gathering dust in the corner. All that was left is clicking the button in the front panel. The tube warmed up and familiar white noise started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to turn on the VCR when the noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared for a moment. It was a dark taiga forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split the screen in half. Something creepy resembling human speech was coming out of the speaker. Just a few moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did it catch some rogue signal? Local TV station only really showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. And only just recently, I used to always watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should tinker with the antenna. What if I catch a signal again? On the other hand, Olya had asked me to find the tape. It wouldn't be nice to disappoint her, but in my sleepy state, I didn't have the strength to do all of it. Search or set. We're gonna try to be there for Olya. I sifted through the shelves full of dolls and blue hippos from Kinder Surprise. I found the tape I needed thanks to its shabby spine. I got the rock rectangle from its box. Neverland. Spent the evening with your sister. The tape inside it rustled while rewinding to the beginning. This rustle was lulling me to sleep. Drowsiness attacked me while I squatted before the TV. Images whirled in my head, me and Olya flying above the forest, tumbling in soft clouds. My little sister is laughing, but her smile becomes more and more forced with each passing second. I notice the clouds underneath us part, burying the bristly pine tops. Swampy darkness slurped among the trees. The wings are no longer able to hold us, and Olya... You haven't started without me, have you? My sister brought the tray with an unevenly cut bread and a whole can of condensed milk. I rubbed my eyes. No, come sit. Mom and Dad are arguing again. They're going through rough times. Rough times are lean. On the screen, Wendy was hiding Peter Pan's shadow into the dresser. Olya was entertained by the cartoonish dog Nana. Maybe Mom and Dad will buy us a dog too. Yeah, right. I'll have my own dog in the Neverland, and a cat, and a parrot. Olya smeared a slice of bread with a thick layer of condensed milk and handed it to me. Have you lost all your baby teeth? Obviously. Olya frowned, deep in thought. Peter Pan has baby teeth. What if they don't let you go to his land with adult teeth? We'll think of something. We'll ask Dad to alter your age in the passport. And why would Dad forge documents? Olya took a bite from the sandwich and started talking with her mouth full. He had made the before. You'll grow ears as big as Dumbo's. Olya got worried and touched her ear. I smiled to myself. My little sister was silent now. She just devoured bread, watching the adventures of Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, and James Hook. As if she got sucked into the fairy tale Neverland. To be honest, I also imagine myself there in a land where no one ever ages, where no one argues over little things, where no one listens to fights and the sound of broken plates at night. It felt like I was dreaming with my eyes still open. Then my sister's scream pulled me back to reality. Tony, shut the curtains fast! Why? No one's watching you. It's dark, and when it's dark, the owl comes. I'm scared. I got out of bed, fighting my drowsiness, and closed the curtains. I I did my best not to look outside towards the treetops, towards the taiga forest, which seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a visual effect from shadows of branches scraping the snow. Tony, Mom thinks I made the owl up. And Dad thinks too. He thinks I'm a liar since I'm small. But the owl exists. Honestly, it does. You do believe me, right? That it comes every night and... I simply grabbed Olya's hand and looked her in the eyes. I was trying to transfer at least some of my courage and determination, but did I really have those qualities? Yes, I believe you, alright? Just don't nag our parents about it anymore. They're already dealing with a lot, so they'll just get mad at you. Come and tell me if anything happens. And don't look out the window. But it wants me to look. Doesn't matter. Act like it doesn't exist and never existed, like it's made up, like Mom and Dad say. It'll get tired of waiting and fly away. That's what you hope. It was madness, but after everything that's happened recently, I was more and more inclined to believe Olya's owl existed. Interesting. I love all the Peter Pan images flashing. We follow Peter Pan's adventures as if nothing had happened. As if the forest didn't kidnap kids. As if our parents weren't tearing each other apart bit by bit. Captain Hook was running away from a crocodile, and Captain Pan was heading to London on a gilded sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my little sister. Olya's eyelids had dropped. She started snoring lightly, resting her chin on the side of the bed. I stood up and left Olya's room. I was looking out the window, studying the field, when Mom peeked into my room. Enough playing around. It'll be your first day at school tomorrow. Go to bed. You should sleep properly. You don't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? Yeah, you drug him. He can't really control that. Adults think everything is so simple. As if sound sleep will ensure my classmates would like me. I covered myself with I covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me. Do I want to hear that mysterious flute again? Yes or no? Maybe it's just part of growing up and I can't fully understand my own desires. The forest wailed behind the barrier that was my walls. Some ethereal entity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. Thank you for completing episode 1 of Tiny Bunny. Did you enjoy it? Do you want to know what happens next? Or are you working hard on the continuation? They have the continuation out. They have episode 2 out. So I think the full game is out. I don't know if they're in episodes or what is going on with it. But that was it for Tiny Bunny. That was a very interesting experience. I really enjoy a non-linear story, and I really enjoy a character who is unreliable as a narrator, which I feel like he definitely, our main character Anton definitely is, because he has some kind of thing going on where he's needing to take medication, he's getting too excited or something like that, and his mom gives him medication and it kind of drowns him out, makes him tired. I don't know what's going on with that, so there may be some kind of like schizo type of reality bending type of disorder that he has, that could be causing his breaks in reality. But he definitely is having these moments of where he experiences things that are happening to him so real, they're so real to him, that he feels like he's in this life or death situation, and then it turns out that everything was fine, that it wasn't even a big deal. And I think that's really cool. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited to see where the forest comes into play, and if it's necessarily, there's always been in literature, the forest is always kind of like a literary trope to talk about like the uncertain and the unknown and not knowing what's going to happen, which is again why I was talking about in the beginning so much about Anton and Olya having this like uncertainty with their parents' possible D word, the divorce, that could tear their family apart, and he doesn't know what's going to happen with that. There's a level of uncertainty that he's dealing with and anxiety. I wonder if he has some kind of anxiety disorder and it's making him see things that aren't actually real, like the mitten being covered in blood and squishing in his hand, but it's actually just snow. Like, that's a wild delusion to have. That's a wild delusion. And I think the story itself is going to be so interesting because we have not only what's going on with Anton, but we have this threat of this owl with Olya, and we have this threat to the light in our life, right? The forest is threatening our tiny baby sister, and she is terrified, and she thinks that something is out to get her, and something wants her to look at the forest. And so I wonder where that's going to go. We will have to see. I will have to pick up Tiny Bunny. We'll definitely have to pick that up and play that for more Visual Novel Friday. That being said, this is the last Visual Novel Friday. If you're watching this on the VODs channel, this is the last Visual Novel Friday that we'll be doing for the next few months. I am changing schedules, so if you're interested in knowing of the schedule change, go check out the schedule tab on Twitch, or you can go to the Discord by following any of the Linktree links and hitting the Discord button, adding yourself to the server, come be part of the party, hang out with me and other people that like the stream, and come hang out with me and Gob Gob. You can give us recommendations and ideas for things you want to see us do, things you want me to experience. I've had a couple people give me some game recommendations, which is always nice because I'm always looking for new games to play. And you can also get updates on when I go live, as well as changes to the schedule, which is going to be happening starting next week. So Tuesdays Mass Effects will be moving to Friday, and Friday visual novels will be suspended for the next few months until we'll be doing another schedule change in a few months, just because things are like shifting in my personal life. So once that gets figured out, then we will do another schedule change and we will bring back more Visual Novel Friday. So it's not going away forever. It is going to be going away for the next few months though. So if you did like Visual Novel Friday, please let me know by commenting in any of the Visual Novel Friday videos or any of the playlists. Please let me know what you guys liked. If you guys like the mystery visual novels, the romance visual novels, the psychological horror visual novels, things like that. Maybe like a mixture of the 2 or 3. Maybe there's other visual novels you want me to check out. That I'm also interested in that as well. So yeah, we'll be doing some more stuff. Otherwise, please stay tuned on the Discord because things are going to be happening on the Discord. So again, the best way to stay part of this stream and stay part of the channel is to be part of the Discord and know what's going on with the channel as I make decisions and do things. There's going to be some Discord only streams happening. There's going to be some art streams happening. There's going to be some community events happening on Discord as well. So please stay tuned for that if you are interested in coming to be part of the party that we're throwing here on the Princessevillan channel. But yeah, that's it for me today, guys. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys later. I loved this game. This was such a fun game. Anyways, bye guys. Have a great one.